I'm so excited to be partnering with Cheffie on season 11 of the podcast. Cheffie is not just a platform, it's a dining revolution. It transforms the traditional dining model, giving chefs the power to launch virtual restaurants, set their own menus, prices and hours, turning every chef into an entrepreneur. Their platform liberates chefs from the confines of a fixed location, offering them the autonomy to craft their culinary destiny. For foodies, Cheffie is a passport to a world of flavours, delivering diverse cuisines directly to their doorsteps. It's convenience, variety and connection all in one place, just a click away. Today I'm joined by Tasha Ghouri, most notably known for her involvement in the 8th series of Love Island in 2022. But Tasha is more than just a reality show contestant. She was the first deaf islander and proudly wore her cochlear implant throughout the series. It revolutionised the idea of shows such as Love Island, and I found it so refreshing to see real life and normalcy on a show that tends to focus on the perfect. Since leaving the island, Tasha has used her platform for good. She's the ambassador for pre-loved clothes for eBay, works on several deaf charities, and has her own podcast, and most recently has written a book. What a woman. Tasha, welcome to Crazy Sexy Food.
Thank you for having me. That's such a lovely introduction.
Oh,
Thank
but
you.
I mean, you've done a lot in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, I feel like when I look back, I think, how did I manage to fit it all in? Because I really don't know.
You're the busiest woman I know. So thank you so much for sort of spending some time with me. But let's actually talk about the book first. Congratulations, because this is what I always find, I think, especially with sort of like Love Islanders or like anyone who's been on those types of shows, they sort of, the first book they write is like a memoir or something.
Yeah.
You've gone a little bit more kind of serious, which I love. You've written a novel.
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of, there's no representation of a main character that wears cochlear implant. And, there's nothing wrong with having memoirs or anything like that. But I think I wanted to go something down a different route and bring something fresh to romance books as well. I'd never see it in those kind of novels.
Totally.
So I thought, you know what, let's change it. Let's
Absolutely.
make a statement.
So tell me, the book is loosely based on your life.
Yes.
So so it is out, but sort of for anyone who sort of wants to maybe purchase it, give us like a little synopsis.
Okay, so
It's called Hit Stiffen. Love the name, actually.
Yeah, so it's about a girl called Cassie. And she's a dancer, which kind of relates to me as well. And she was born deaf, she wears cochlear implant, and she has a best friend called Pen. And it's all about her self-journey and figuring out her confidence and how to get through the hard times in a positive way. And the message really is about you have to love yourself first before loving somebody else. That's
Absolutely.
the really true message throughout the book. She's with a guy that doesn't really love her, and then she gets this amazing job, then she meets a new guy who actually really loves her for her and really embraces that. So it's really about her journey of finding herself, but also learning how to be loved, like what is actually love, and what is the message behind that. So it really is a bit saucy as well, of course. It's a saucy moment.
A bit of saucy. Obviously the word sexy is in my podcast,
Yeah,
so it's right up my street. I'm actually saving mine to read. I feel like this is like a proper summer book, like on the beach. Like this is me when I'm kind of like switched off. I've just had a baby, so there's no children around.
Yeah.
Like this is my like me time.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people that have been tagging me have been around a pool, on the beach.
Totally.
It just gives, even the front cover as
I was
well,
just going to say, like, it's bright,
vibe.
it's fun.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting, like what you said, like in terms of like representation, because, you were the first deaf islander on Love Island.
Yeah.
And as a viewer, and I did watch that season, like it was so refreshing to see just... And I said, actually, for me, it was important to say, like, in the intro, like, this is real life. First of all, no one's perfect. For me, there's no such thing as perfection. But also, what is perfect? Like,
I agree.
And I just think that you've really led the way for hopefully the future of these shows, that it's okay for everyone to be included.
Absolutely. Like exactly like you said there, that's why I go on the show. I wanted to be 100% myself and not be worried that people think I should act. There's a lot of comments being like, she's deaf, she can't act like that. And things like that. It's like, actually, I can be confident, I can flirt, I can be, fun, I can be funny. I really want to showcase that on TV, that, there's such a stereotype about the way we should act or look if you have a disability. So I really want to break down that wall and show that actually we can find love as well. We can have a little flirt every now and then.
Which you did find, love, because you are still with Andrew, which I have to say, like, in Love Island terms, like, you are succeeding in all frontiers. Honestly, I'm really happy for you guys. I was always rooting for you, so I'm very happy. We are going to come back to a bit of Love Island in a bit, but I'd love to take it back to your childhood. You were born and raised in North Yorkshire.
Yeah.
I want to know what life was like growing up. Kind of paint the picture for us. Who was round the table? What were you eating? Who was cooking? Sort of tell me everything.
Okay, so I was living in a very country town, small town. Everyone knows everyone, that kind of situation. Surrounded by fields, sheep.
Oh, wow.
And my parents are divorced, so I kind of lived the childhood where I do half a week at my dad's, half a week at my mum's. Every Sunday at my dad's, we used to do baking or some kind of cooking. Okay. So we go to Tesco, buy the ingredients, we come home. And that was like a situation we did every single Sunday. So you learn recipes with my dad, you do baking. I used to love that. So your dad's like
a really big he's a keen baker?
Oh, he loves it. He loves cooking. He loves baking and cooking. Yeah, he loves it. So I learned so much from him.
Okay.
You know, even with Andrew now, I'm cooking. He's like, how do you know all this? I'm like, because my dad taught me. And then with mum, she also used to cook me dinners as well. Like I feel like they both were such foodies, and I learnt a lot from them. So
I love that.
Yeah, so every Sunday that's my favourite, because I used to go to my dad's, be like, "Hey, what we're doing today? What we're making?" So yeah, that was kind of the situation.
And so, what would you say is like your dad's best bake?
It's rice pudding. It's rice pudding one.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to add that into... that's allowed.
But he has a special ingredient. I think he adds like cinnamon or something into it. Okay. And when he cooks it, it sounds so gross, but it's like crispy skin on top.
No. I like crispy, ricey
and it's
things.
Like creamy. And I'm like, he makes a good rice pudding.
Nice.
Good. And I remember every time he used to be like, can we have rice pudding today?
It's funny because I feel like rice pudding is something that a lot of people don't like.
Yeah,
but I find it really comforting because it's hot, it's warm.
Oh, I love it.
It's like creamy.
And I like the texture. You have a bit of like softness in there as well.
I like it. Yeah. Okay. And so, what do you still bake at home?
I do try to every now and then. The other day I made a chocolate chip banana cake. Actually, I can make a mean one.
Okay.
It's nice and moist. It's good. I got Andrew's approval on that. I like to do a bit of baking every now and then, but because of time, by the time I get home, literally like, I knew I was going to do something, but I'll do it tomorrow. I think I'm going to tomorrow because next week.
I love that. And so, like, when you were younger, I mean, I know that obviously you were dancing and all sorts. What, sort of the young Tasha, what did she want to be when she grew up?
Always a dancer. I think I always had my vision set on being a dancer. Even when I was little and people would say to me, it's not a real career or anything like that, I would say, watch me, I'm going to leave this town. I am going to go into dancing. So that's kind of my vision. And I feel like once you stick with that vision, nothing can get in your way. And that's kind of what I've learned, is actually you have to stick to your path and trust the process. Like, it's going to get hard. But, you know, when you have that outside noise of people saying, you don't make money out of it, but I'm like, it makes me happy. Yeah. I'd rather do a job that makes me happy and passionate about than something that make me miserable every day.
Absolutely. So you were born deaf.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know or understand, sort of talk about like what the implant does, because you had the implant fitted when you were 5.
Yeah.
What does that do? Because to be honest with you, I know a bit, but I don't know enough.
Yeah. So it's very different to hearing aids. So people get very easily mixed up. So hearing aids is there to amplify sounds, make things louder. So it's not surgically done. You can just pop it in, then it's good to go.
My dad wears hearing aids.
And then a cochlear implant is surgically done. So it takes about 7 hours. It might be quicker now, but that was back in the day, and you basically have an internal part and you've got the external part. So I've got the outer earpiece. I don't hear through my ear, I hear through the implant. So that's where people kind of get a bit confused. It's like, does it fix your ear? So I'm like, no, it's actually I hear through the implant. The microphone's at the front. And when sound travels through the microphone, the internal part recognises sounds and transmits it to the brain. So it sends signals to the brain. So it's basically a transmitter inside. And it's so clever how it's done, but I have a magnet in my head. So as soon as the cochlear implant attaches to that magnet, it activates it. And as soon as I take it out, I'm completely mute.
So, and can you hear everything as someone who could hear sort of normally? can you hear exactly the same?
Not exactly the same, no. So the way we hear sounds is quite different. Even our voices sound different as well. A lot of deaf people have deaf accents. People with cochlear implants have this kind of same tone in our voices. And the way we hear sounds, we have to train our cochlear implant to hear that different accents, different sounds. And eventually, it's very clever, and eventually the cochlear implant realises it. And, you know, it's like core memory in a way. So I won't ever hear exactly how a hearing person would, but I can still hear absolutely fine.
So when you say accents, would you, because are you also part lip reading as well?
Yeah, so I'm lip reading you now.
No, now I'm going to be conscious that I make sure I pronounce all of my words correctly. But like, would you be able to decipher someone who was like American compared to someone who was English?
Yeah, so sometimes I would say where they're from, like I can't really pinpoint where the accent's from.
Okay.
Yeah, so I won't be 100%. But sometimes I'll be able to hear like a certain twang, or like Irish accents, for example, I really struggle with because they have a certain way, like quite low voice, deep. So some accents I really do struggle because I'm like, don't really know, can't hear what you're saying. But sometimes I can really understand an accent and be like, oh, okay, you're definitely from America or, you know, somewhere.
And then in terms of the actual implant, once it's fitted, is that it? Do you need to have it replaced? So
it's like every 10 to 15 years. So I did have a knee replacement when I was 16. I was at college, and the inside just breaks basically, and that's just because it has a lifeline of 10 to 15 years. And I had a new one, but you also do get an upgrade of a better version. So in a way it is a good thing. You do get a newer one.
I feel like something, even from when you were just talking about your aspirations when you were a child, you're very confident. Now, I know that obviously, you know, behind the scenes, I'm sure you've gone through what we've all gone through as humans. You know, we're all unconfident at times. But where does the confidence come from?
I think it just comes from, I always say dancing, really. I always said dancing is my safe space. And that's where I really started to find myself as a person. That's where I really started to learn, you know, it's not a judgmental industry. You know, people are so supportive, and I felt safe enough to open up to people. And that's kind of when it started. And it's something that took a long time to be openly talking about it. In high school, I'd wear my hair down. I wouldn't even, you know, people ask me, I'd say, no, I don't want to answer, like, no, kind of thing, shut it down. But I think it just comes from believing in yourself as well. And I feel like once you believe in yourself and you believe in, you know, the universe that's, you know, putting everything in for you, I feel like that's when the confidence really starts to ooze, because you're believing in yourself, you know, you're achieving goals. And of course, you may not achieve goals, but that's okay. You're going to the next thing, because that's what it's about. You know, you have to take risks as well. And I feel like slowly your confidence does build and you feel empowered in a way. And I feel like I'm at a stage now where, you know, of course I will have days where I don't feel as confident, but, you know, it's about just believing yourself and just keeping your vision forward and making sure, you know, you don't let anything distract you.
Absolutely. So bringing it back to sort of Love Island, speaking of confidence, you were sort of catapulted into this sort of crazy world of fame when you went on season 8. And, you know, okay, that's now 2 years ago.
Yep.
Gosh.
I know, 2 years ago.
You really have done a lot in 2 years. Looking back on the experience, I mean, I've sort of, actually, I think it was after your season, I actually sort of stopped watching it a little bit just because life got a bit crazy. I decided to have a baby and, you know, other things going on. But looking back on it all, it's a big thing to do. We all read the headlines. It's a great place to kind of create a platform for yourself or do whatever it is that you want to do. There's obviously the dark side of it where you're dealing with social media and not very nice people. I mean, as a whole, what was your experience of it like?
I would say it was 50-50. I've been honest about this, and I think, you know, the positives is that I met someone out of it and it was amazing, and, you know, I went on representation and made friends, and it also is very tough in that I'm a very sensitive person, and for me to deal with my emotions, I outlet them. I cry a lot, and in there we do struggle. Yeah,
I love crying.
I love it, but I feel like I got torn down.
I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I'm not gonna lie, I may or may not have cried at an advert the other day.
I always will cry at anything, even like seeing, like, I don't know, like an old elderly on a bench, like kissing. I'm like, that's going to be me and Andrew when we're older. Like things like that.
Absolutely.
And I feel like the national public really tore me down because I outletted my emotions. It's like, I'm not a person for entertainment. I'm not the person for drama. That's not me as a person. I didn't go in there to create TV drama. I went in there just to be me and just let things ride. So I think that's where I struggled, and I felt like I got kind of knocked down quite a lot. I felt my confidence did go really low in there at one point, to the point that I was very close to leaving. I just felt just the lowest of low. And then it got to a point where actually the last 2 weeks, I just said, you know what? I don't care anymore. Like, let's just enjoy it. The last 2 weeks are the best weeks of my life. Like, me and Andrew didn't care anymore. We were just in our bubble, and that's where we really flourished, because, you know, I cared too much about people's opinions, and that's what really, really helped me coming out of that show. Actually, was like, you're not going to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
And it's about just trusting yourself and trusting the people around you, and that's all that matters. So I really did. I'm grateful, because it made me stronger as a person. It really made me grow in there, for sure.
I think something else that I sort of got from watching you, because I actually was really rooting for you, and there was a reason why, is that I find you like a real girl's girl.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of people out there that aren't girls.
Yeah.
And I struggle to be around women like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like you really sort of put it out there, and also, like, so what if you're sensitive?
Exactly.
My gosh.
I know. And I think that's just a generation though, isn't it? I feel like if you cry, it's embarrassing, or it's just too sensitive, things like that. It's like,
if I went on to Love Island, bloody hell, you could just say it.
Honestly, I actually don't bring the edge every single time I cry. It probably got a bit too much for them. They're like, oh God, just cut it down a bit.
They need to make like a compilation of all of your tears.
I remember when I came out, first when I said to my friends, I went, did I really cry that much? And they went,
yeah.
I was like, oh no.
I'm always keen to know what the food is like on these shows, and I have read articles like in the past by like other islanders on like different seasons and things, but like what's the deal when it comes to the food? Because obviously we don't see any of that.
No,
we're just watching all like the juiciness.
So the food situations, the lunchtime, you know, the kitchen, we lay tables out, and then all the food comes out in the kitchen. So we have like catered, and it's like chicken, pasta, salads, like you get what you need.
Is it like a buffet style?
Kind of, yeah. Fine. So you have a mix of everything. Obviously some people are vegan, gluten-free. Sometimes had Sunday roast in like 40-degree heat. I was like,
because that's what we want.
I was actually sweating having like a hot roast beef. And then same for dinner as well. But sometimes it did get a bit too samey every day. So sometimes we have like a pizza, like a frozen pizza.
Can you put in requests?
Yeah, you can put in requests, because I think especially when people are so into fitness and stuff, they like to stick to a specific dietary. So you can definitely put in requests and say, you know, I need this, I need that, etc. Whereas for me, I was kind of like, I'm such a foodie, so I literally was like, just give me as much as you can. And so were you allowed to kind of, I don't know, like, are you allowed to order in takeaways? Or we did. We had a few.
We
had a few sneaky ones. So the off day, so we have like not like a day off, but the day where they don't film anything, we'd have like a McDonald's or like,
you can have a little bit of the real world.
Oh yeah, it was the best thing ever. I was like McFlurry, like we'd order so much though, and we were there like, eating it.
I love that. That's brilliant. Speaking of, you know, I mean, we've kind of covered it, but in terms of like this confidence that you have, you go on Love Island. Was there any part of you that was like, you're quite hesitant to do it? Because the vibe I'm getting from you is that, you know, you had certain aspirations. Yeah, was there ever any hesitance of being like, oh, I'm not sure this could go a slightly different way for me? Or, you know, what were the thoughts when you were approached?
Yeah, I think when I first got approached, I kind of thought I had nothing to lose. I was doing modelling then. And I was self-employed, and I thought, you know what, let's just give it a go. Because I may not even get to the end of the process. You still have to go through the whole applications and the Zoom calls. And it kind of got to a point where I kept going through each stage. I was thinking, oh, okay, it's actually getting a bit real. And actually spoke to my parents, and they were the ones that were more hesitant than me, I would say. I was quite like, I'm going to go in the open mind. I can be in there for a week. I can be in there for a day. Like, you just don't know. Whereas my parents were worried about the backlash about my deafness and the ableism, which did happen. But I said to them, you know, it's about how I come out of it and turn it to a positive. So I think going in, it was just kind of got nothing to lose, and just let's just go for it and grab the opportunity. And I think that's kind of the mindset I had before I did it. Yeah,
and it paid off, so to speak. Moving forward, do you think that this has now allowed them to sort of pave the way
100%.
to start including? And damn right.
Yeah.
Like, actually, it sometimes does make me a bit angry because I'm just like, I don't understand why we're even having to have this conversation in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, you've got X amount of people going into a Love Island villa. Have everyone.
I agree. And I think, you know, it's great to see, not even just Love Island, but all TV shows, like reality TV shows are starting to, you know, open that door and just normalise it. And, you know, we can find love as well, you know, any shape, size, race, no matter what you are, you know, you can find love. And it's about sharing that message. And I think it's great to see that even this year, was it Patsy?
Yeah.
Patsy, she had, I don't know how you say it, but, you know, but I think for me, across all shows, I do want to see that a little bit more, just, you know, just...
I still think there's work to be done personally, but, you know, I think, you know, with people like you and whatever, I think we are slowly getting there.
Yeah,
because when I was, 11 years old, I remember when Big Brother first started, and then that was when reality shows kind of just went...
Kicked off, yeah.
And you never saw anyone except just like... the perfect model or whatever that was, you know? And so I do think we have come a bit. Back to the food though, what I do love the most sometimes is on Love Island is sort of late at night when I don't know if like there could be like arguments going on or whatever, but there's always like random people having random pieces of toast and then like random very large packets of crisps.
Our thing in this villa was guac and crisps basically.
Okay.
Like it's like me and India probably were the only ones that loved guacamole and crisps. And we'd be like, where's the guac? We need guac. We need guac now. And we'd have a crisp. And he was just there, just chomping away. It was the best late night snack ever.
But also I feel like that toaster gets like really used. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But there have been like moments where you sort of, you tune in. It's like there's a massive argument going on, but there's someone in the background still just putting in like a couple slices of bread, you know, buttering.
It is funny. It's just, No,
it's really. And then kind of sort of coming out of this conversation of Love Island, but sort of coming out of the villa, you know, I know that you said that your parents were maybe more hesitant than you in terms of, you know, what the reception was going to be. For me, I can imagine coming out after, what is it, like 2 months? A bit longer. By the time you sort of had your few weeks when you've sort of gone into hiding or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Coming out with, you've had no phone connection, no connection whatsoever to the outside world.
Yeah.
That must be an incredibly scary moment.
It was weird. And I remember turning on the phone for the first time. I left it. I couldn't even open it because it just kept going boom, boom, like buzz, 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 buzz. And it's just like, I think I left it for like half an hour because I literally was just like, I didn't even want to open my phone because I felt it was actually quite nice to not have that.
Yeah,
and I was so used to not being reliant on my phone, and then going back to it, I was like, how do I even use it? I can't remember how to use it.
I mean, I can't even. And when you got home, what was the first thing you ate?
Pizza. I remember this. It was actually at the hotel room before the reunion. Me and Andrew got to the hotel room. We just ordered pizza. We were like, let's just have some greasy, cheesy pizza. It was the best thing ever. Like greasy, oily chips, like cheesy chips. Like we were just sat in bed living our lives. I was like, yes.
Sometimes it's like the simplest things in life. What was the meal or food that you missed most when you were in the villa?
Spaghetti bolognese.
Couldn't you have got that?
No. I like spaghetti bolognese is my home comfort food. Like I love a spag bowl. Like I love mince. I love spaghetti. Perfect combo for me. And no, that was like the thing I missed the most.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. And so in terms of like sort of cooking at home, you're a foodie. Mm-hmm. Spag bowl, is that your speciality?
It's up there.
What's your little secrets?
I had in obviously red wine.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, you have to add in the red wine.
Whenever a recipe says to add wine, I obviously buy a big bottle because it's actually what I think the recipe is saying is you have a glass of wine whilst you're cooking.
Absolutely. I actually do as well. I have it like aside. I'm like, ooh, pouring it in.
So and I don't measure.
Oh no, I just pour. I'm like, that'll be enough. I think this week I made sweet potato nachos. I'm not sure if you heard of this, but so you know, like you cut sweet potato and like nacho kind of vibes, put them in the air fryer, and then it's like plain mince with paprika, like chili con carne seasoning kind of vibes. Whack that on top, and then like I use Fage yogurt. It's like a sour cream replacement. Smashed guacamole, chopped tomatoes, Unreal.
Hold on, wait. So the sweet potatoes, are you cutting like very thin so they become crispy?
Yeah. So it's got a bit of thickness into it as well. It's
my
stunning.
gosh, I'm gonna
It's
make
like
that.
healthy as well, but it's just so yummy.
Ooh, I love that. Okay.
It's good.
And when you're out of the house, where are some of your favourite restaurants?
Italian. I love Italian food.
Okay.
So we've got a Fratelli. It's called Fratelli near us. It's our favourite Italian restaurant. It's just so good. I love like rustic, authentic kind of Italian food. You just can't go wrong really with a bit of pasta.
I mean, Italian's my favourite food
Love
ever.
it.
Because I just feel like with Italian food, you can literally just have like 3 ingredients and it's the best meal
Yeah.
ever. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Literally.
honestly. I guess, you know, not sort of making this a negative thing, but you have been very open in speaking about social media and sort of dealing with the negativity. I find it such a minefield.
Yeah.
I have a real love-hate relationship with socials just because, you know, I don't know. I just feel like I'm a bit of an old head on a young body. And how do you deal with all of that?
When I first came out, I remember my parents sat me down with like this situation of like what was being said, you know, the negatives. And I literally said to them, I said, stop, I don't want to know. Because I feel like once you start digging in and going looking for it, you kind of fall into that hole. And I feel like now when I see negativity, I turn it into a positive. So a lot of the time, my negatives is ableism. Like, I'll be honest, nothing's really about my personality or the way I look. Most of it is to do with my deafness or the way I speak. But the way I think of it is actually, sometimes on TikTok, I'll do, you know, you can reply to a comment by doing a video. I'll be like, okay, the reason why my voice sounds like this is because da-da-da-da-da. And the amount of people that be like, I'm so sorry, I did not know that. It's just goes to show this lack of education or lack of awareness. So that's how I really think when it comes to, I'm like, they probably don't know. They probably don't know what a cochlear implant is. So I just turn it into positive, and I feel like that's the best way to do it, is kill them with kindness. And that's kind of the way I navigate through that negativity. And I also just don't go looking for it. So like once you start, that's where...
Seek and ye shall find, as they say, right?
Yeah.
I said in the intro, you know, you have worked with some charities. Can you talk a little bit about sort of who you've worked with and sort of, you know, what would you like to see how would you like to see the future in terms of, you know, people who are hard of hearing or deaf?
Yeah, I think, so I've worked with deaf kids and NDCS, National Deaf Children's Society, RNID. I've worked with quite a few, Medal as well. So Medal actually made my cochlear implant. So I work with them really closely as well. And they're all such different, you know, charities, companies that do such amazing different things. And I like to not just focus on the UK, so deaf kids do low-income countries, and the children are basically more percentage getting domestic abuse because parents don't understand what's wrong with them. So they have a higher chance of going through all that situations. They can't get hearing tests. They can't get all of these situations. And, you know, what deaf kids do is provide that for them and to help them through it, to get hearing tests, even get hearing aids. So it's great because the UK, we are very lucky. We're very, very lucky to have what we have, whereas these countries, they don't have that. And, you know, these children are suffering. They'll never be able to hear, maybe. So it's nice to work with a charity like Deaf Kids. And then obviously in the UK, NDCS, RNID are great as well because they maybe provide tools in schools if children need that extra care. So that's what they're there for. So it's great to work with them. The first thing I said to my management when I came out was actually, you know, I want to keep working with deaf kids. I was working with them before I even went on the show, and to work with more charities. And that was like the first thing I said. And it's great that I've got that relationship with them now. I think I'd love to see just more normalised. Like sometimes when you see something big happen, the headlines might be like, you know, deaf girl. For example, when on Love Island, the headlines are like the first deaf islander, like things like that. And I feel like I try to be normalised to the point that it doesn't even need a headline. Like it's great it happened, but at the same time, I feel like it should be that normal that it shouldn't even need to be a big deal in a way. And, you know, just more open-minded from people on social media, I think, you know. It probably may never happen, but just more kindness, I think, towards people with disabilities. Not even just for the deaf community, but anyone with any kind of disability.
Absolutely.
I see it on, you know, TikTok and platforms. Some of the comments I see, I'm just like, how can you type that? And then, you know, just hopefully it does start from school, I say. You know, there needs to be more education awareness around people with disabilities. And I feel like if that started in school, people will go so much more open-minded and be more aware of that situation.
Absolutely. One of the brands that you have worked with, and I love this, is eBay.
Yes.
So you sort of front their pre-loved collection.
Yeah.
And has that started from when you'd left the villa?
Yeah.
So what is it about sort of pre-loved clothes that matter so much to you?
No, I love it. Even before the show, I used to go to Shoreditch. I have a thing for like bomber jackets.
Okay,
like
I
if
love
you
a bomber
see
jacket. Yeah.
my wardrobe, like even my manager will say right now, like she's like, you've got so many jackets. It's all like loaded onto my bed as well, just
Brilliant.
piles.
Yeah.
So I used to love finding like unique finds that you won't find anywhere else. And then when eBay came with the offer, you know, I said, absolutely, I'd love to work with you. I'm still working with them now, which is amazing.
Brilliant. Yeah, incredible.
And so, yeah, I think for me, like, it's about like, no one else will have that. That's what I like. I like finding unique pieces that nobody else will have. And it's something that you can pass on as well.
Yeah.
And you're also obviously helping the planet, sustainability. And for me, I remember when I first came out, I went into my wardrobe, I threw away everything that was like fast fashion, like, you know, very bad fast fashion brands. I literally put it all into bin bags and I gave it away. And that was a massive clear out start for me. And ever since then, I've been supporting small businesses more even.
Brilliant.
There's so many small businesses out there that are incredible. And just really be more aware about what you buy. But I just love, you know, even when some clothes have a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a scratch or a bit of a hole, I'm like, I quite like that.
Yeah,
It's,
I'm the same.
I think it's cool.
I have to say, I mean, I feel like we are moving away from it, but I genuinely don't understand people. And I will say it's particularly to do with celebrities and whatnot, who wear an outfit once.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Or like, you know, for example, someone mentioned it to me, it must have been like last year, and they were like, oh, are you going to wear that same outfit that you wore on the podcast last season? I'm like, what's the problem with that? Like, I'm sorry, but like, what world are we living in?
Yeah.
But it's like, even like, I've found a seamless link here to do with food, which is like food waste. Like, I'm really big on like food waste in terms of, you know, chucking away things in your fridge that don't necessarily need to be chucked away.
Yeah.
You know, I know that sustainability is like a massive word. So like you, with sort of eBay and the clothes, I sort of am so big on it with the food and whatnot, you know, like, just because I think everyone's getting bored of my conversation with courgettes, but I'm going to give you the courgette example. All right. The courgette example is, if there is a courgette in your fridge and one part of it at the end is a bit moldy, you don't need to chuck that courgette away. Just
slice it.
Yeah, slice it off and then just use the rest of it. Yeah. And it's like, just because that clothing is like got a bit of a mark on it doesn't mean it needs to be chucked away in the bin.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go. Between you and me, we'll be sorting out all the food and fashion industries in no time.
Love that.
You are a fellow podcaster.
Yeah.
Superpowers with Tasha. Tell us what the concept is. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you.
It's all about just rewording things as well, and just kind of just changing the narrative.
Absolutely. It's about changing people's perspectives as well on certain disabilities. And for me, the podcast is really about having real, raw, open conversation. Like, even me, I was so inspired by talking to my guests, because it's strange. Sometimes social media, you think, you have not a perception, but you kind of think you know everything, like what they've gone through and stuff. But once you actually sit down face to face and they tell you the ins and outs, what they've gone through and how they got to where they are now, it's so inspiring. Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted the listeners to really get from Superpowers with Tasha, was that, you know, empowerment and just listening and being, you know, what educational as well, like learning, like what you said, you know, also what is right, what is wrong to say to people. And, you know, that's what it's really about, just having that real, raw honesty, conversations.
Absolutely. Okay. I always finish my conversations with a few quick fire questions.
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the craziest food you've ever eaten?
Craziest food? Oh, what are those? They're in a shell and you go... What is that?
An oyster.
Is it an oyster?
Or is it like...
It must be an oyster.
An oyster.
Yeah.
It's in like... It looks like a massive like mussel.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably the worst thing I've ever...
Really?
I don't really like fish though.
Oh, I love an oyster.
I was forced to try it. And that was probably... It was like the weirdest texture I've ever had. It was awful. It was not for me.
And you put like a bit of like vinaigrette on it.
I don't think so, no. I just went straight in. I was like, right, give it a go.
Okay. It's funny. I feel like people like love or hate them.
Yeah.
I love them. I could literally do like 20 in one sit, in one go,
like
pretty much.
Bam.
Yeah, but you know they're alive.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh.
You've got to. So some people will just swallow it, and some people will just do like a couple chews, and then.
I didn't know they're still alive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit sad. That's actually a bit sad.
It's fine though, because we've looked into this and they have no nervous system. So technically, I'm going to probably this is probably wrong, but apparently vegans or plant-based people can eat them because there's no nervous system. So technically they're not like an animal. Yeah. There's a whole like thing about this. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So no, don't worry.
Okay, that's fine.
Nobody was hurt in the making of this. What's been your most memorable meal?
Oh, probably with Andrew actually. We went in Dubai. I can't remember the restaurant, but I remember sitting. It was an incredible view in Dubai, and we just had really nice. It was like Asian food,
nice.
And it was just incredible. I feel like that's probably one of the most nights I remember because we'd had such a good night, and it was just lovely. So that's probably the most memorable.
You were with, of course.
Exactly.
Okay, my favourite snack of all time is a packet of crisps.
Okay.
What is your favourite flavour of crisps and why?
Prawn cocktail, Walker ones. Unreal.
No.
Oh, do you not like them? We had the complete opposite.
Do you know what, Tasha? We were doing so well. I honestly thought you might have been a friend for
Damn
life.
It.
I have a big problem with prawn cocktail.
I love it.
Oh, God.
And I always make a crisp sandwich. I'll just have prawn cocktail with butter and like bread. And unreal. I love it.
I don't know how we move forward from here.
What
would be your second?
Salt and vinegar.
Okay.
And then cheese and onion.
Okay.
But I think prawn cocktail, I like that twang in it.
Yeah.
It's got a nice little...
Do you know, okay, so I'm quite known for having a go at people who like prawn cocktails, so don't be offended by it. I've had people honestly be quite shocked.
It's fine.
But I'll tell you where I'll meet you in the middle.
Okay.
Is a skip.
Oh, okay, I like skips.
Yeah.
Do you like skips?
I like a skip because I like the texture and it like melts on your tongue.
Yeah, it like fizzes on your tongue.
Because they're prawn cocktail flavoured.
Yeah.
So I'll meet you there.
Okay, fine,
all right.
fine.
Bloody hell.
We did it.
I thought you were a woman of, anyway, whatever, it's fine. We'll get over it. What food sums up happiness for you?
Mint cheese. Is that how you say it? Mint cheese?
I call them mochis.
Oh, mochi.
Oh my God, we love...
Like, just take it out the freezer. Oh, I just love the ice cream in the middle.
Yeah, and then the
softness.
chewiness around. Yeah, okay. We've got a few in the freezer if you want some, actually. She needs a mochi. Okay. Who was the best cook in the Love Island villa?
I don't think anyone actually cooked, No one actually cooked.
Who made the best toast?
Yeah, who made the best... Paige made the best toasties.
Really?
I will give her that, yeah.
Okay.
Every day, we'd be like, Paige, can you make us some toasties? She'd be like, all right. I don't know what she did, but they were banging.
Okay. What is your desert island meal? You're going to go to a desert island for a couple years. This is your final meal before you go. What is it?
Oh, I'd have a curry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have chicken boona, rice, onion bar cheese, papadums, mango chutney, garlic naan.
She knew what she
this
had
is like,
ready.
Every day I'm like, yeah, I exactly know what I get. Same thing every time.
I love it. She just reeled that one out. You've been wanting that question to be asked of you.
Yeah, I was ready.
Literally. Okay, and final question. Live to eat or eat to live?
Oh no, I do live to eat then.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. I thought you meant eat to live so you actually survive.
Yeah, no, I think you'll live to eat.
Yeah, live to eat. Yeah.
You're a foodie at heart.
Yeah.
Oh, well, listen, Tasha, I'm wishing you the best of luck with the book. Go out and get it. What you're doing, honestly, I find incredibly inspirational. As I said, I was watching you on TV and I just thought this is so refreshing, but equally it needs to become more normal so that it's not just, that's not kind of like what you're known for, so to speak. It's just what we see.
Absolutely.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me.
And before we leave, you are going to teach me how to say goodbye in British Sign Language.
Yeah, so goodbye is literally just goodbye.
Just goodbye like that. Is it?
Thank you. That's thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do...
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. If you love what you hear, please subscribe and review. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram @CrazySexyFood. Until next time, bye.